Hello everyone, this is going to be my first, and hopefully not last, Fear and Hunger video. I'm honestly a huge fan of both games, and they really sparked my interest in creating content due to that. I couldn't decide whether or not to start with gameplay or some form of commentary for a bit, but I decided this would be the best type of video to start with. So today we're going to be talking about everyone's favorite child soldier. Not that one. This one. Much like all the other characters, the gist of Levi's backstory can be found in his intro when selected as the main character. Being born to the 20th century equivalent of that one guy from Detroit Become Human, and a mother who's been stripped of practically all her free will due to being in a relationship with said guy, Levi's home life was less than stellar. The seeds of his soon-to-come Reddit nihilism and general depression are planted here as Levi must bear witness to the continuous abuse of his mother at the hands of Marty Armstrong. Eventually, though, one fateful night, things would come to a head when his mother would rush into his room and hold the door shut. This worked about as well as you would expect, and shortly following his mother's entrance, his father would too make his appearance, clearly upset that he's on his last can of Bud Light or whatever. It's here where you're given the first choice of the intro. Stand up to Marty Armstrong once and for all, which yields you 25 additional max HP, or pray to a god giving you one level of affinity with a god of your choice. Regardless of your choice, however, Levi's mother will perish to the Armstrong style, and his father will continue to waste away watching blue now that his bitch wife can't change the channel to orange. Following this, he would be sent to Heavenly Host Elementary, except it's actually an orphanage this time. It wouldn't change his situation much, considering every member of staff was just a mini version of his father, though. His stay here would be short-lived, as soon after his arrival, the Eastern Union began to draft every able-bodied person to fight in the war, finally making Levi into the child soldier we all know and love. Well, not yet anyway. He's still too happy. Even though he possessed tremendous skill with firearms, being either pistols, rifles, or trench guns, depending on your choice, knowledge that he would be able to flick-shot pretty much any TikTok Valorant player with a comically deep voice was not enough to numb the pain of seeing other children fight and ultimately die in the war. Eventually, he would be given his own squadron of child units to manage, Fire Emblem Awakening style. It would all fall, though, when he and his platoon would be assigned a suicide mission. Choosing to accept this mission will give you different skills depending on the gun you picked earlier, and choosing not to will allow you to avoid the permanent heroin withdrawal debuff. But, canonically, it's more likely the former occurred, which I'll explain a bit later. Following this, the Reddit nihilism and depression became too strong for him to bear, and he deserted the Eastern Union, returning to the only place he could. Prieville, the place he was born, and the setting of the game. So that covers the bulk of Levi's backstory, but that's only if you pick him as the main character. If you don't, however, you'll be able to find and possibly recruit Levi as a party member, so let's cover that. If playing as anyone else, you'll be able to find Levi during day one morning in the basement of a house south of the mayor's manor. He will react by promptly running off. If you choose to search for him in the same time segment, he can be found in the basement, again, of a restaurant. However, to get him to join your party, you must be in possession of heroin. This is because Levi has an opioid addiction. This is why I believe he accepted the suicide mission from earlier, by the way. If given heroin here, he'll join your party. But what if you don't find him here? If not found by day one morning, an altercation between him and arguably the worst contestant in the entire game will occur on day one night or day two morning. If the player allows this to play out or doesn't witness him, Caligura will kill Levi for spitting on his fake-ass Jordans. If interrupted, however, a fight between you and Caligura will ensue. Upon victory, Levi will react by promptly running off. After this, he can be found at the orphanage, where you will be able to recruit him. Without the persuasion of heroin this time, might I add. There's a whole other cutscene if you don't find him during this, but I won't be touching on it, as it more so gives the other characters insight into Levi rather than insight from Levi. After recruiting him, you'll have the option to speak with him and use mind read at safe save areas. It's through this where we can truly see his personality. Through speaking alone, it's quite clear that Levi is generally a quiet person, not saying much nor elaborating a lot on his past. But with the use of mind read, we get a glimpse into his own inner dialogue. From this, it becomes clear that Levi lacks self-confidence and people skills. He wonders why you're talking to him, believing he has nothing much to offer, and is just generally apprehensive about the entire situation he's been put in. You can really see the toll his past has taken on his personality, and, all jokes aside, it's kinda heartbreaking to see. This only makes his Moonscorched form a lot more depressing. Levi's Moonscorched form is the Weeping Sculpt, and can, again, be found at the orphanage. As an enemy, it isn't too difficult or anything like that, but the thing that stands out to me the most is the design. There's a lot to be said about it, but the aspect that immediately catches your eye is the giant gun that has taken the place of his head. While cool looking, sure, symbolically, my take on it is that it's representative of the fact that being a child soldier was something that was forced on him. The gun is huge and it weighs him down, but at the end of the day, it feels like something he can't get rid of, part of him that he can't erase. And since by this point you would have already found him Moonscorched, you'll never have the chance to move past it. That, to me, is the most tragic part. In summary, Levi is a PTSD-stricken ex-child soldier who returned to Preeville to escape the trauma of war. He's honestly one of my favorite characters in this game, and probably from anything ever, so making this video was a lot of fun. I'm not sure whether or not I'll continue with more videos in this style, or gameplay videos, or whether or not I'll continue at all, but like I said, this was definitely a fun thing to make, so thank you for watching, and hopefully I can keep doing stuff like this.